Ever wondered how being father of four, including twins, manages to scale the rank from a firewall development engineer to the vice president of an architecture at a leading cybersecurity company? Today's guest, Evgeny, has done just that and more. With over 2 decades in the field, Evgeny has seen it all. He's the force behind two successful podcasts, one technical, one business focused, and co founded a unique cybersecurity sky and snowboarding conference. Now, running his own consulting firm, Eugenie simplifies complex cybersecurity challenges for businesses of all sizes. Plus, he's writing a book on way soft skills are the secret weapons in the tech world. So I hope you enjoy the show. Welcome to the show, Eugenie.
Thank you very much. Just one small correction. I'm not writing the book anymore. The book
You
is
already
done.
finished it.
The book is
Awesome.
in Amazon's, UK, Canada, everywhere for the last 2 weeks. So I'm very, very happy to finish the process. As then you
Awesome.
mentioned, I'm quite technical. So it was very interesting to write a book about not technical aspect.
I totally get that. I totally get that. So do you have a favorite quote, something that inspires or motivates you? You would like to share with our audience?
Yes, it's actually on a book. It's on the
Hmm.
first chapter of the book. And I'm going to read you the quote. Just give me one tiny second. So it's
Hmm.
actually an introduction. People will forget what you said. People will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. And it's not my quote; it's by Maya Angelou. So it's quite important, yes, in personal life and in a business life as well, because when we present, when we talk to people, or when we even present and talk to people inside the company, it's all about the delivery.
Indeed, indeed. So let's talk about your story then. Where did you actually begin, and how did you came up with this idea to start this cybersecurity firm, as well as write this awesome book?
Okay. I'll go backwards and get to the point where we are right now. So I
Hmm.
moved from Ukraine, used to be USSR in 1990s to Israel. Spent 16 years in Israel, including learning in nautical school and spending 5 years in the Navy. In the Navy is where my career began as an IT person and learning about networks, computers, and many, many, many things. Before I joined the Navy, I was at college and I work as a waiter. And I think in a waiter, the idea of soft skills kicked in communication because I realized if I can understand what people want on the table, then I can get more tips. Because if for
Indeed.
all of us that work as waiters in the beginning of our life,
Yeah.
it's not about how you do everything. It's do you anticipate? Do you understand what the person wants from you? Can you understand the orders? Can you bring them the drinks they like and stuff like that? So this is what started tickling in my mind. Like maybe there's an idea of communicating with people to get much more from what we have.
Yeah.
After the Navy, I joined a company called Checkpoint, quite a big provider and vendor in cybersecurity. Worked there for a few years and moved to Canada. For all the listeners right now that familiar with Shark Tank in US, there's a dude named Robert Herjavec, a Croatian shark, what they call the good shark. I don't know if did you watch the show?
Yeah, I did. I do. I mean, I'm not regular, but I do definitely watch it. Yeah.
So I actually joined Robert Herjavec company in 2006 and worked with Robert for 16 years in his cybersecurity company. And this is
Awesome.
where I learned the majority of sales, communication, delivery, anticipation, and many, many, many other things sales related. While my role is not primarily sales, I later on in my career, when I was managing the team, when I became the VP, team lead, and many other things, I did a lot of pre-sales work as a technical person. For all the founders in the listeners, you probably have a salesperson and then you have a technical person that doing the demos, that explaining how stuff work and showing all the nuances. So I did this quite a lot. And I also had this unique opportunity to work with hundreds of vendors because the vendors we represented did demos and presentation to our customers. So I had this experience to see what other people doing and kind of liked or didn't like what I'm doing. Like, this makes sense. Doesn't make any sense.
mm,
And with time, I noticed that we have a shift in the industry, that the salespeople less selling, and now I need to really understand the financial and the procurement part. There are so many documents we need to sign, NDAs, MSAs, and much more, and
mhm,
understand how customer buy. And it doesn't matter if it's cyber, SaaS, or anything else.
mm.
And the sales engineer now we need to do more selling. They're not just doing the demo and forgetting about this. They need to communicate with the customers. It's much more complex. They need to build relationship. So this is one indication that was the motivation to write the book.
Mm,
Second one was the realization, and honestly, something that was driving me nuts.
mm,
We all learn differently. So when a vendor jump on a call and say, "Hi, Mr. Customers, how was your day? Let me show you my presentation, or let me show you my demo." I had like a nay, 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 nay in my mind. Why don't you ask the customer what they want to do? Like I personally
definitely.
don't want to see a presentation. Talk to
Mm,
me. Explain to me what the product does, what the problem it's solving for me, what's my ROI, how the architecture going to be. So why not to ask the customer? Why not to communicate with the customer if there is a better way for them to learn,
mm,
communicate? This was number two. And number three was COVID. What happened during COVID is we lost the ability to travel to a customer and do physical meetings.
mm,
And the moment we lose the ability to have physical meetings, now we don't have this connection with the customer because
mm.
during digital meeting or video meeting, you have several screens. I have four screens around me. You not really disconnected. You have your Slack, your LinkedIn, Facebook running on one of the screens. I don't really know. Do you looking at me or you looking at a different camera? I only see half of your face. So we
Yeah.
lost this connection. So I realized if we want to have an impact, we have to connect. We have to
Mm,
connect on a personal level, find the hook, find something in common, what sports we like, which incubator we go to, what we did before, what our kids are doing. And then the moment we connect, then this conversation became different.
mm.
And it's
Interesting.
it's not like on a clock. You don't really
Mm,
have to sell everything and do the POC on the first call. Maybe you
mm,
want to, but it's probably going to be much better if you spend 15, 20 minutes talking and building a relationship. And then the next call, then you're going to go to the business.
mm. So it's majorly towards creating a relationship, or putting a stone there, which is the starting point for your relationship with your customer.
Yes. But if you think about that as a human being,
Mm,
maybe we can compare it to like 3D Tetris because we are
yeah.
parts of many, many different things. We talk, we speak, we listen, we walk, we have a body language. We maybe talk for a long time. There's a chapter about voice, and that right now we speak much more versus before COVID because we have
Mm,
more meetings. Before COVID, we used to travel from customer to customer, so we had
mm,
time between meetings. Now we speak all the time. So your voice became an integrated part.
yeah.
Your video setup became an integrated part, quite important. Just
Mm,
before we started recording, we spent some time to understand the microphone, if they're working well or not working well. So
yeah.
if you cannot hear me okay, would the customer hear me okay?
Definitely.
So
Definitely.
all this, like small building blocks in the book that help you become a better person.
Perfect. So walk us through your role when you were working. So you mentioned that you were a VP of sales, or was it more towards the technical side of
Architecture. So I did architecture and
architecture?
design, and I left 2 years ago. So now I have my own consulting company.
Okay. So how do you okay, so let me take you through some pain points of our
Yes.
listeners, right? Most of our listeners are like founders or people who have already got some funding from the accelerator programs, or people who already are looking forward for their A series, A rounds, B rounds, etc. Now the challenges is for the people who are from seed funding reaching towards the A series. They mostly, most of them, I'm not talking about all of them, but most of them struggle with generating more sales, and this is everywhere, right? Every single business has this problem. And the reason behind it is most of the people who start their startup, they're very good, excellent with the product, excellent. They understand the technology, they understand the product, they understand the market gap, TAM, SAM, and everything, all these kind of things. But what they don't understand is how to sell. You know what I mean? Like how to market, how to get people knocking on your door. So, what are the strategies you used back in the days when you were working with other company, and then now when you are operating your own? And what are the difference between these two level of operations? Because you have different roles, different
Yeah.
caps to wear right now,
So
isn't it?
first of all, so the book is about connecting to people. There's other amazing books help you how to sell and how to close. I think my book is a building stone, an important one to let you connect. I think in sales, there's two main parts, or like three main parts. One is actually make the first connection. Two is, I think this is the fundamental, most important part with the salesperson, is the ability to close a deal. If you're an amazing human being, but you cannot close a deal, and if forget to ask about the PO and forget to ask about actually can we bill you, can we want to buy it, it's a problem.
Mm.
And three is to understand and qualify deals. Is this deal a real deal or the customer that don't really care and just dragging my time?
Yeah.
Now, I know a lot about sales and I spend a lot of time around sales and I have a podcast that talks to a lot of founders. So I'm going to provide you my opinion and what I see with the grain of stone that I'm not a true salesperson for a company. I have my own selling. I help a lot of the selling. So this is part of very, very important to understand. So
Sure.
there's a couple of things that are changed quite a lot. We have much more noise. We
Mm.
customers are very, very educated. I also write about this in the book. There's a big difference between joining a call and explaining to customer what you sell versus come on a call and understanding the customer probably Googled you, watch the YouTube, read the blog, ask ChatGPT and Perplexity and all these amazing tools we have right now to do research. So this is the main part change. You're not always educating. You may still, but in many cases, you need to understand that the customer may know the information and you need to navigate and understand what the customer wants. So you need to
Mm.
adapt to the customer needs versus just, oh, I need a presentation. I need to do X, Y, Z because my CRO told me to do X, Y, Z. So
Yeah.
ask the customer, connect to the customer. Yes, you spend a lot of money on the presentation. You pay the digital marketing people a lot of money. You have an awesome presentation where you want to show all this good stuff. Who's your founders? Who is your team? The question is, does the person on the other end cares?
Mm.
So let's give some examples and ideas.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
you present to an architect or a technical person,
Mm.
depending on their maturity, how long they've been in the company, most of them will care about the features. They're not going
Yeah.
to care how awesome your CEO and how many awards he won or how much money you raised.
Mm.
Now, if you present to a manager, VP, director, they now like have a bit more business hat. Like, okay, I'll take care and understand that the features will be important to my tech people, but I need to understand, would you have money to deliver to me? Would you disappear tomorrow? What about some of the legal information? Do you have all the compliance stuff we need potentially? Do you have the support we need? Some of the stuff. If you go higher, C4, C level people, they're not going to even understand in some cases the features, but now they need to understand the financial part, what's going to happen, when can we pay, can they get a discount? So we cannot just paint the wall in the same paint and do everything for everyone. And I see this mistake a lot. People just come, present, I don't want to call it like a demo monkeys, almost like do, but they don't personalize. Why? Because they think they need to do a lot of calls a day to later on have like a machine gun. Now, one of them mistake.
Mm.
And then it's lead to burnout because we're doing a lot of calls. Not all these calls qualified. Not all these calls are research good. We don't understand many things about the customers in some cases. If you don't understand the customer, you're going to have hard time to connect to them. You remember this idea of slow pace win the race? Not all the time, but in some cases, sometimes slowing down and see what's happening will gonna help.
Mm.
While I was in Herjavec Group and I was supporting sales, I will not usually do the first call. I'll join the call or the first like BDR, the business developer. I'll join the next one to explain about the solution. But what
mm,
I did do a lot, I'll represent the company at the events on the street or everywhere. If you gonna ride me in the elevator and you ask me, hey, Evgeny, what Herjavec Group does, or what do you do right now, I'll know what to tell. I'm gonna have 5 sentences to explain why Herjavec, why we awesome, they awesome right now, what's happened, why people like us, and this is what people need to know in a company as well. Not just the sales, everyone, everybody's selling all the time. This is some of the difference what happened before and happening right now.
mm.
Right now, I mainly consult to consulting companies. So my sales cycle is completely different and it kind of built on my reputation and what I'm doing in the business right now.
Mm.
Having said this, when I meet new people, because I meet new people at the conference on LinkedIn, my LinkedIn become my reputation. The
Mm.
videos, the articles, the notions, what people tell about me become a bit of my reputation. People watch what I did, people understand what I did, and I
Mm.
thought, okay, there is solid background about this person. And then we jump on a call. I can explain and represent what I do as well.
Got it. Got it. So, majorly, it all depends upon what sort of requirement or pain point your customer has to understand them, to do the due diligence, to have the research done pre it's like a prequel to before jumping on a call with your customer, because it's essential now, because all the customer has mostly all the customers know how to do a little bit of research, google about you, go to your LinkedIn profile, watch a couple of YouTube videos, etc. So they already are aware of the way you communicate,
So,
converse
yeah.
with your
So let's
customer.
give some example. There's a chapter about research. And
Mm,
without being a creep, like don't go on Facebook and tell, hello, Josh, how you doing? I know what you did last summer. Nice vacation in Miami. Oh, who cool yacht you have. This is creepy. But
mm,
go and research which language the person speaking. What does they speak your language?
yeah.
Go check where they worked. Go check what certifications they have. Go check who is people in common they have.
Mm,
So there is some simple things you can check. And you know what? If you allocate 5 minutes before the call, you can do it in 5 minutes on LinkedIn because LinkedIn is usually open. Now, you may say, okay, but if this particular manager not on LinkedIn, then I'm not able to find the information. Guess what? It's also an indication. If this person is not on social media, it means they're going to be more close. Then it means the way you communicate with them going to be different as well. They're a bit more introverts. Not a problem. There's no issue with this. We're all different. But you're not going to be all flashy and okay, let's go to this party, that party, do that. You're going to be more reserved. So everything you see will give you some indication. If people are writing blogs, okay, now they want to express themselves. At the end of the day, you want to get to the point when the person on the other line want to open up and talk to you and share them
mm,
their hobbies and they want to talk and you can use hooks, what is on the wall, what is on your wall, reverse hook are so awesome. I have this green screen that I don't have right now like behind me, but when I jump on a call with a green screen, people are like, what's up with the green screen, what is the green screen, why do you have a green screen? It gives you an
mm,
opportunity to talk about my media, about my podcast. If I'm gonna put a baseball hat here or a guitar, people may ask about the guitar, but I'm not gonna put a guitar because I don't play guitar.
yeah,
It's gonna be fault.
yeah, yeah. So, other than having this understanding and doing research for your customer, what are the other soft skills your book talk about? For example, do you have a good point you mentioned about like research which language this person speaks? This is fantastic, because if somebody speaks my first language, then I would definitely ask that person, because that makes the person more comfortable, for sure, right? But what are the other skills you talk about in the book?
There's quite many chapters, and every chapter is a building block, like a pillar of the bridge. There's a chapter about how to ask questions. Do I
Mhm.
ask open-ended questions or closed-ended question? Open-ended question could be Ash, do you like blue cars or white cars? Or what is the color of the car you like? So
Mm.
one is very, very close. I don't give you an example. Which color do you like more? Which cars? Blue or white?
I like dark gray.
So, so the first question was completely off. The
Yeah,
second question, which color of the car you like, now
yeah,
you can ask without gray, but it's still a single, almost a single syllables answer, dark gray.
yeah, yeah.
What I've asked you, Ash, can you describe your perfect car and the color?
Then I would say, oh well, I have driven when I was young, few BMs from a few ranges, and then now I'm more settled, so I rely on the, stable, stability of the brand, for example, Toyota and things like that. So yeah, I would definitely say that I am inclined
But
towards these.
now it make you think. Now it make you to open up
Yeah.
without having a conversation. Even
Mm.
just right now, with something simple as a car, you gave me three sentences. Versus
Mm.
if I'm on a call and every answer you have is yes, no, blue, red, cloud, SAS, we're not going anywhere. It's boring.
Mm.
This is why I kind of hate all the compliance questionnaires because it's yes, no, no, dark blue and stuff like that versus having
Yeah.
a communication.
Mm.
So this is one art to learn how to ask questions and which questions to use when. There is a closed question. The closed question that's quite important for the salespeople, or depends who is asking them. It's the customers, just to understand you're on the same page. Is this a budgeted initiative?
Mm.
It's a very hard question because it's a you now very important soft skills. Vulnerable. You now being vulnerable. The customer say like, "What do you mean budgeted?" You're just kind of checking out. We don't even care about it. They're not gonna buy this, and you maybe spend already 5, 6 hours with this customer. So you now need to be vulnerable because you're potentially going to be slapped on the hands right now.
Yeah.
But there's another way to do it, and I learned it because I started doing this. What if you as a salesperson not asking this question, and maybe your CTO or your sales engineer asking the question, and it's
Mm.
come from Mr. Customer, just to understand from the delivery perspective, and I have my team ready and I have all the features you want ready. Do you plan to install this in Q2 or Q4? Same question, but now the customer is like, "Oh, yeah, 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 we actually not do this year, we're gonna do this next year."
Mm.
May not be applicable to if it's a complete SaaS and just turn on the button, maybe not be applicable, depending on what you do. But there is different role play between sales and sales engineering, where
Mm.
the other one can ask a question, navigate the conversation that usually the first one will do. This is why there's a chapter about questions. This is why there's a chapter about team. How do you work as a team between sales and sales engineer? Who is
Mm.
doing what? How do you do ping pong when we kind of take the conversation from one to another, depend who asking what?
Mm.
Because it's quite important there. Maybe you're going to ask me a question, I will not have an answer for it as a technical person. The salesperson then can take the navigation of the conversation, give me a few minutes to come up with a good answer. Then you kind of pass the ball back to me, and I'll answer this. We're not going to lose the flow. We're not going to lose the customers. We're not going to come back with, let me get back to you, let me get back to you, let me get back to you.
Yeah.
In the physical reality, it may be done by just glancing to each other. Over Zooms, Googles, and Teams, now we need to find a way to pass this ball because we may not see each other really well. I cannot read the entire body language. Actually, this is one reason why I want everyone to be on video, also in this case.
Mm.
Then we may use instant messengers or we use some other way to communicate that we need to agree before the call. We need to
Yeah.
decide what we're going to use. So there's a chapter about this part. There's
Mm.
a chapter about POC, how to do proof of concept, what's important, why legal is important. Probably the most salesy chapters there exist.
Yeah.
There's definitely a chapter about guiding the customer because while you understand the entire process on your company, the customer may not, but the customer understands the process in their company and you probably not. So by you
Mm.
guiding the customer and explaining all the parts in the way you guys doing the POC, the selling, the configuration, now you're entitled to ask the customer how they do stuff, how they buy information, what do they need to make it happen. And this is quite important. We're opening up. I think one important soft skills in general is curiosity. And
Mm.
you may say it's not a soft skill, but I think it is. Because if you're not curious enough to understand what you can do differently, you're not going to learn anything else. You're not going to
Yeah.
learn about emotional intelligence. You're not going to learn about active listening. You're not going to learn that there's a time to stop selling close your mouth and just wait because you already did your job and now the customer is talking.
Yeah, yeah. That's interesting. And when you have this kind of conversation with your customers, do you happen to have this kind of cross questions where you have to have this hard conversation about budgets and all? And how do you navigate through these storms? Because what I usually have is whenever I'm having a conversation with my customer for my SaaS product, they always either ask me to reduce the cost, or they ask me if there is a discount for like a monthly subscription, or they ask me if it is a one product, digital product, or a software product job. Then they will ask me, oh, there are other people who are doing for the same thing for us for like 50% of the cost. How do you navigate through this thing?
Because there is no one way to navigate all of them. And I
Yeah.
think it's quite interesting that let's go from the last one. Like, oh, I like what you have, but there's somebody else doing it cheaper.
Mm,
So this is basically becoming your brand. You can say, okay, I understand they're doing it cheaper. The reason do you on a call with me right now because I hope you like the feature, you like the experience, you like the stability, you like everything as a package. There is cheaper cars, there is cheaper bikes, there is cheaper different things. It doesn't mean it's good. But a cheap, fast, good. Remember this
yeah.
triangle?
Three
So
things. Yeah.
choose what you want. I'm not trying to push on you. I know you're very knowledgeable and I know you're going to choose the right thing. And this has become like how desperate you are. Because if you're desperate as a founder, the customer gonna feel it. They're gonna try to squeeze the juice out of you.
Mm,
Also, I guess it's who are you talking to? Like right now, the customer is very educated. So basically describing a situation where somebody cares about the feature and also cares about the price. So this is back to who are you talking to? Is this like
mm,
a one person show, or you already show all the features to the users and now
mm.
you move to procurement, and now the entire idea for them is just to reduce the price.
Yeah.
So in this case I will say, I understand you want a better deal. Would you be okay to commit it? If I give you 20% discount, would you okay to be committed for 3 years versus 1 year? I help you, you help me. So I don't think we need to give away everything right away, but unfortunately, this is how our world is built. We need to understand the price. So in many cases, you may say, I understand people are going to ask me for a discount, so going to give a price that is maybe a bit higher. It's not the case.
Yeah, yeah. But some customers are very, very, stubborn. Even when you tell them that there is a triangle of good, cheap, and fast, you just can't select two of them. They say, no, 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 I want all of three. I want good. I want the best quality. I want it to be delivered fast because, I want it fast, and then I want to pay cheap also. And I am getting it from someone else. And in my experience, what happens is whenever they ditch you and go to somebody else, in few months later, they come back and say, "Oh, I burned my hands. I did that, and then this deliver this solution provider just ghosted me. Now he doesn't even respond to me." So, how do you deal with this kind of situations?
So you basically describe it customer success.
Mm,
Is customer success is part of this triangle, or customer success is something that comes later on. And you cannot feel customer success when you're buying the solution because you're talking to a sales engineer, an A team. You may depend on a company, have a bit of a conversation with people that will take care of you. But this is something could be a differential. What will happen with you when you're gonna have issues or
mm,
features or problems you want to solve? Because in reality, none of the solutions are perfect. There's always something to add. There's always something to improve, and in many cases, the customer may want a feature for themselves as well. So in this case, when the customers come back to say, okay, Mr. Customer, I understand. Thank you very much. I'm very happy to have you back. I hope you're going to be a grateful customer. Let's make a deal and let's make a deal longer right now.
mm,
And also, I think explaining the customer success, navigating the customer success, or even tells them this solution that asking to have cheaper. Did you talk to the customer people? Are they located in your time zone region? or they're going to be coming from a different time zone and you're not able to talk to them because you're in Europe and they're in Australia, or you in Australia and then in North America.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly. Cool. So I'm really enjoying the conversation because these are the pain points we face on a daily basis while we are talking with our customers, generating leads, etc. Does your book also covers anything which involves getting traction, or is it purely towards the soft skills?
It's because there was the soft skills. The traction in my mind is the connection with people to keep the
Hmm.
connection. Now there is a couple of parts that we didn't touch that I think quite important. One of them is fear. So what if you're amazing CTO, CEO, founder, and you're afraid to present because not for everything, because you probably raised some money, so you did something with yourself. And I hope you recorded yourself and you listen to yourself and you understand that you can improve your voice, remove filler words, because I did it to myself. I think it's quite important to to read our voice the same as we have a sore back. You're going and working on your sore back. But also, what if you're afraid? Almost none of the schools teaches about fear and how to overcome fear. What to do if you are afraid, how to calm yourself down, how to slow down. There's a chapter about this part to kind of normalize your breathing, do some exercise, what's important, what's going on in my mind, why we get scared. Also, during writing the book, I realized that being present is very, very, very important. But I mean by this, if you're doing so many calls a day, and call number five didn't go as you expected. How do you come to call number six and you're still present? Can you take care of your body? Can you take care of your health, your
Mm.
overall life being to actually deliver what you need to do and not kind of almost like an electric car? When you go down, 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 there's a point of no return. That's it. If it's that, it's that, it's a break.
Yeah.
So we want to charge it much, much more like when it's in the medium level, the same as the car maintenance, if you think about that. If we do regular car maintenance, it will last longer versus we wait until everything have a problem. Same as our body. If we take care of our body and our mind, we'll be able to perform much better.
Yeah.
Yeah. Funny enough, in the end, I also have a chapter about conferences.
Hmm.
If there's a soft skills in conferences and how you talk to people when you work in the booths.
Yeah.
And the last chapter, it's about kind of vision, what will happen with sales and AI. While the
Hmm.
book didn't touch AI at all, in the AI, I touch it just to kind of see that we're probably going to have some kind of purchasing bots and the research bots are going to help the customers to do research about you. And you as a vendor are going to have your own bots. They're going to talk to the purchasing bots to communicate the information. It's a bit of a vision of the future of AI.
Cool. Got it. And would you be able to share a compelling case study that highlights like how a company or an organization leveraged a solution to achieve success and solve their key business challenges using your services? And then potentially I would like to know more how these golden nuggets which you have mentioned in your book, you have utilized them in this particular case study, which will give our listeners more idea about how you actually work out all these soft and hard skills together to make your
For
customers
me,
successful.
I'm using them all the time. This is something I've been using for the last 15 years in my career. I just didn't
Yeah.
realize, and
Mm.
only wrote the book now. And even some very technical, I realize there is a lot of similarity between sales, work, doing customer success, doing consulting as well. So the soft skills, it saved my bacon several times because able to connect to customers, find business, so I don't want to give just one example of, oh, we did that, that, and that, and then it worked out. But it's a methodology to, in many cases, change the way you sales and in some cases you BDR think and operate. And it requires, okay, my present when I on with the customer, how do I talk, how do I operate, what's behind me, What do I wear? Do I have a baseball hat on Zoom calls or not have a baseball hat on Zoom calls? And why do I have it? Is there is a way for me to think and connect? Can I build some kind of a guide process how to do and what to do with the understanding that not always gonna able to have an answer for everything because it may change and I will need to come up something on my feet with the
Mm.
idea of practicing soft skills outside of your work. In the end of the book, there is something called SSDP, Software Skills Development Plan, that can help people 30, 60, 90, 120 days to practice their soft skills. And
Mm.
I do suggest to practice them outside of work. So what I do with some of my companies where I help them with soft skills, and honestly, it's relatively new because I just released the book 2 weeks ago. So I used to do it just natively. Now I have a bit more of methodology how to work with
Yeah.
people. And I work a lot with founders and sales leaders. And in many cases, the CTOs are the ones that find it more valuable because CEOs, in many cases, already have some of the ability to connect and natively because they're already in sales. So this is how I navigate, and I usually understand what's happening, how it's happening. And because I have my own podcast and I talk to CTOs quite a lot, I see in many cases how they prefer to be with the computers versus talking to people.
Yeah. Yeah. Got it. And throughout your journey and experience, there must have been some valuable lessons learned, right? You have mentioned a couple of them already in the conversation. If you don't mind sharing, could you reflect on your experiences that tell us um, about a one mistake or a setback that you have encountered along the way, and that you now um, consi- uh, don't consider as a regret, but it's a lesson. And additionally, what advice would you give our listener based on that experience?
I frankly made quite a lot of mistakes in my life. This could be in the technical part, on the speaking part, on the social part. I think the biggest one is take stuff for granted.
Mm.
I went somewhere, I was needed to do a work. I think I did everything okay, and I was kind of relaxed with the customer. Was quite high-end customer. I was just doing my own stuff, but I was still the customer. When I left, apparently there was issues, and the customer was not happy. Now, issues are given, but I was relaxed and doing my own stuff, and this was drove the customer nuts. Even so, the two nuts are not connected because like you still were working with us, but you're already doing something else. Now, maybe if I didn't do something else, we still have this problem. I don't know. But now for the customer, like we paid you a lot of money, we expect your full attention, and you can't do your job, and then we saw you doing something else, kind of focusing on something else. So I was not fully present. I would think everything is okay. I took stuff for granted. I think doing stuff for granted and making an assumption this is what the customer want, this is how the customer want, is one of my biggest mistakes that I think it's okay to predict, to visualize, but you can still double check and do your best to be with the customers, understand the customer. The customer paid money to spend the time with you. So dedicate his time to them. So this is probably one of my biggest mistakes on a consulting front. On a technical front, it's a different story. I brought networks down, I
That's Yeah, that happens with everyone. Cool. Okay, so as much as I'm loving this conversation, but we are always limited of time. So let's quickly jump onto our lightning round. I've got 6 questions, quick fire questions for you, so you can answer them as quickly as possible. You ready?
yes.
Great. What are the top 3 strategies to generate more customer satisfaction in your business in 2023, 2024? Sorry.
So so communication with the customer, understand what they want, always have you kind of hand on the pulse to understand what's happening, and if they're happy, not happy, don't wait to the last moment when they need to renew, and see what is the best way to proactively understand the future needs.
Got it. Got it. Okay. What book would you recommend to our audience and why?
Comment my book. No,
Definitely.
so definitely read my book. It's not a very long book. We spend a lot of time with my editor to make it as concise as possible. It's 120 pages, so you can read it on the weekend. There's Not a lot of stories about how I went somewhere, came back. It's very, very, very concise.
Hmm.
Other books, there's so many great books. Simon Sinek, Start with Why. I think it's an amazing book.
Cool. What one attribute or characteristic in your mind of a successful founder?
I would say back to curiosity, being curious to learn
Yeah.
stuff and adapt stuff.
Yeah, yeah. I think this is one of the Steve Jobs quote also: be curious and be stupid always. That helps you, right? Yeah. What's your favorite personal productivity tool or habit?
Uh, Writing notes, So basically, I have notes and tasks, and I change task messenger or task options many, many times, and I still come back to two. I use Keep from Google because I have it everywhere, and majority of my notes are in OneNote and Microsoft. There's a gazillions of different other ones. It just somehow I coming back to them.
The notes, yeah. Yeah, I do it old school with my diary. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. What's your favorite, what's a new or a crazy business idea that you would love to pursue if you had time and money?
Wow. I'm doing quite several already. We did the ski and snowboard. We're doing bikes and hikes conferences.
Hmm.
Crazy idea. There was something in my mind. Uh, Drone soccer
Hmm.
for
Okay.
kids, and education. Yeah, so it's like relatively new. I think it started out of Korea, and
Okay.
basically you use drones that encapsulated in a ball, and you need to attack the other side, and they need to kind of almost like a bumping drones.
Oh, okay. Interesting. And what's an interesting or a fun fact about you that most people don't know?
Wow. I like I think most people know I like extreme sports quite a lot. I like to combine sports and my work together where I can because I think it's fun and interesting. What
Hmm.
I don't know is I have quite heavy speech issues when I was younger. That
Hmm.
it was very hard for me to communicate in my teens. A lot of issues with how fast I spoke, mumbling, ending the questions not correctly, or it will be very fast, eating the end of the question. And the way I communicate right now took some time, but quite
Hmm.
happy with the change. If you hear me 20 years ago, you will probably having a very hard time to understand me.
Thanks for sharing that, because things like this makes us special, because it's like giving ourselves an opportunity to make other people aware of what we have achieved, what we used to be, and then what we have been, like through the
Sure.
journey. So, well, Evgeny, thank you so much for joining me and sharing your story, unpacking last few years of building this business and some of the up and down. If people want to get in touch with you, check out your website. What's the best way to do it?
So one way is to find me on LinkedIn,
Mm-hmm.
Evgeny Karam, Evgeny Kharam, as you can see on the screen. Not too many Evgenys there, so you don't have issue to find me.
Mm-hmm.
Second way about the book is softskillstech.com or .ca.
Mm-hmm.
Softskillstech.com.ca. It's everything about the book with the
Mm-hmm.
SSDP, with software plan, software personal plan. Plan to also add training later on there as well. So, but LinkedIn is if you just want to find me, it's probably the easiest way.
Yeah, LinkedIn
Yeah,
is the best one.
LinkedIn. Yeah.
Cool. Evgeny, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your inspiring journey and the impactful work you're doing. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on Founders Podcast.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you all for tuning into this episode of Founders Podcast. I hope you found our conversation with Eugenie insightful and inspiring. Don't forget to check out his website and connect with him on LinkedIn as soon as possible. If you have a founder or industry expert interested in sharing your story on our podcast, please don't hesitate to reach out. Stay inspired, stay motivated, and keep building.